Let me get this going. All right. All right, so I'll just get started. You ready?
I'm ready. Roll it.
You're like, I'm always ready. One of those. Cool.
Nah.
You're like, no, but now I am.
I just fake it.
Totally just fake it. Yep, I hear you there. All right. Let me get water before I start because I'm already dry. Okay. So one of my favorite ways to be effective on social media and in all marketing of your business with doing the least amount of work so that it reduces the stress you have doing it all is repurposing. Now, repurposing means that once you do something cool, once you have created a video or a blog or anything where you have a great idea you're talking about or a topic that you're passionate about, basically all it means is use it everywhere you can. Now, going into a little detail with this, I've brought a friend, Jenn Neal, who is with the Virtual Jen. She is the star of that show, and she is such a master at this. She does this in so many different ways. So I wanted to give her a chance to talk to you about that a little bit, give you some ideas of what you can do. Jenn, you know what? You shared with me before we started recording this eye-popping statistic about how much repurposing has grown traffic. Can you tell us a little about that?
So exciting. Yes. All right. So thank you, first of all, Deborah, for having me on here. It's super awesome. And yeah, okay. You guys, I'm going to throw a bunch of numbers out because I love to nerd out. So we took our podcast called The Content Toolbox, and we had done it for a year and we hit 100 episodes. And so I was like, okay, awesome. How can we use that content to help support our business right now? And so we went back and we even took episodes from a year old. And we said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this stuff, we're going to repurpose it for now. And we started the process, and it's this like slow moving engine. So it takes time to get all the repurposing and everything done. But even as the engine has been slow moving, here's the stats of what we have so far. I compared Q4 of last year to almost the full Q4. We started publishing some content in mid-December. So then I compared that time frame to the end of Q1. And just in that time frame, we have had over a 300% increase in traffic to our website that's coming from just the repurposed content. We've also grown our social channels and our email list by over 20 and 25%. And of course, ultimately added to our bottom line. All of this leading towards a big workshop that we have coming up where I'm sure that will add more to our bottom line as well. So all of it from old content.
I love that because so many people have like, oh, I did this blog post and I made this video or I did this recording at some point. Yeah, great. Bring it back. Lots of people haven't seen it or do it in a different way, put it in a different place and suddenly people haven't seen it and you get to use it again if it's still relevant, good content, good material, good information, help people learn a little bit about what it is that you're teaching. Yep. Can you give an example of kind of how this works? So like in your case, I guess it's you took a podcast episodes and just tell us a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a lot of tips out there in terms of repurposing. And what it really comes down to is you can repurpose like anything. If it doesn't resonate or the messaging is not right from the beginning, you can repurpose a whole bunch of stuff and it's not going to actually, like, it's just going to be a whole lot more of stuff that's not working. So what we want to do is make sure right from the start that the content is actually going to resonate. And so for us, we started with our podcast just because that's where we had been producing. I've done this for other clients and they have done, they don't necessarily have a podcast, which is totally fine, but they've done Facebook Lives. They've been a guest on other podcast shows or radio shows or things like that. Or they've created a webinar, VSL, sales page, something like that. All that stuff is content. And what I have kind of a 3-step quick formula. Is it okay if I share that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So what I do is I tell you to go back and look statistic wise at your old content. Like you're going to go gather everything up and just kind of dust it off and be like, all right, what did we talk about here and how well did it do? Like you have to look at the numbers. So for us, we went back and took our top 10 episodes over 100. And we said, all right, these have been the most downloaded, the most visited. We know we want to start from those because they resonated. We also went back and said, we're taking all of our guest episodes because those are guest experts and it helps us leverage other people's audiences, right? So we knew that those are the two groups that we wanted to start with. But that doesn't mean like you can go and look at, if you've been a podcast guest, look at the ones that are the most top downloaded and or your VSLs, your webinars, who showed up the most or converted the most. So you want to check that out first. And then you want to do a cross check against your avatar. So you really want to dig back into your avatar and make sure that you understand their pain points, their needs, their desires, and the things that like their very next step they need to get to as a cold audience person, because we're talking about repurposing on social media. It's going to give you cold traffic. So you want to make sure that you understand those pain points and you're going to match up the content that you've identified to ones that are like talking to those pain points, those needs, desires. Right. And then the third step is you go verify that information with Google. So you actually go and say, like pretend that you are searching as one of your customers. Okay. So you want to go and be like, okay, how do I overcome this pain point? Or how do I get this desire? Or how can I do this next step? And there's two things that you want to look for in there. You want to look at what comes up competition wise. So you've got, you've got like what other people are talking about, and guaranteed pay attention to this because it will always be a blog or some form of value information, right? That comes up that Google serves. It's good to know because that's what you want to create. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom of Google, when you do those searches at the bottom, Google literally tells you people also search for these terms, right? The terms that they're giving you there are long tail keywords. And that means all of those words together, like Google recognizes that people consistently are looking for those things. The only reason that we want to cross-check this is because you want to see what's been valuable. You know what your content has worked, right? Making sure that you're talking to your customer with your avatar. And then we want to say, okay, does Google also see, like we're searching for those terms to make sure you're avoiding lingo or things that you know about that they may not know about. So
or things that you would know to look up that they don't look up.
Exactly. Yeah. So we want to have Google tell us this is what people are searching for. Because then when we go into the repurposing, we want to incorporate all of that information so that we're hitting what Google says, this is what people are looking for. We're hitting our ideal audience. And then we're bridging, like we're making sure that we're filling in that gap and bringing them over to the information that you already talked about. And it becomes a completely smooth transition. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it sounds great. If someone wants to see this in action and learn more, how can they do that?
Ah, perfect. So I've run this for clients and stuff as well, but we literally put ourselves as the ultimate case study first recently doing this with our blog. So the results that I shared with you already with over 300% increase and 20%, 25 in our social and list or email list, I will be sharing exactly behind the scenes, all of our results and exactly how we did this at an upcoming workshop. It's called the Fast Track Workshop. And Deborah will actually share a link, I'm sure. And we'll make, at that workshop, I'm going to show you literally the process map that we went through, the launch map, exactly how we repurposed, who we hired, how we told them to integrate all that information. And then we will be walking you through the same steps on taking old content you have and repurposing it in a way that's going to grab that attention and get the results you want right now.
Sounds great. When is the workshop and how long is it?
Oh, fantastic question. So it is April 27th and 28th. Let me make sure. Yes, 27th and 28th. And it is a 2-day workshop, just because there are some analytics and numbers and things in there we're going to have you go through. Be ready to roll up your sleeves and do some work. It is actually some work, but the results will totally be amazing and astounding for your business. So each day we will be doing 3 hours. And then there'll be a special VIP session on day 2. So we're trying to condense it down, but we want to make sure that you have time to get the information that you need to actually get real results and implement this in your business right away.
That makes sense. It sounds great, because sometimes it's that thing of like, oh yeah, I'll do that and do that later. But sometimes having someone walk with you of like, okay, here's where you pull what you have, and here's how you do this piece of research, and here's how you make sure your messaging is matching your avatar, your ideal client.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's the most helpful thing. So
Yeah, exactly.
I love that this is a workshop.
Yeah. And I really want to be able to look over your shoulder and help, provide feedback and stuff like that. And I just love the workshop format where we can actually one-on-one work through it.
Yeah, that sounds really, really helpful. Anything else you want to add?
Awesome. Well, you guys make sure that you are following exactly what Deborah says and share her link. But I would love to have you join us. And if you just want some more information or anything, you can definitely check out resources that we have at the Virtual Jenn. We are fully examples of our own work. So you can go check out what it is that we've been doing and kind of how we've been repurposing this content all along the way.
Sounds good. I hope you guys all got some good ideas out of that. Hopefully attend the workshop. It'll give you all those really good details to really maximize this kind of process. At the very least, try some kind of repurposing with what you have already. You probably have more than you think. So
1000%.
Right? Like always, almost always, there's more already there. So
yeah. If I will throw one other thing out real quick, if I can, if you are running ads, because so many times we're like, oh, we're just going to do this and run ads to it. This strategy will reduce your ad spend. As a stat I totally didn't even throw in, but it will reduce your ad spend by 50% or more. And typically it ends up increasing the yield of how many people are coming through from your ads. So it's just a win-win to incorporate a little bit of organic.
Right. I love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Jenn. I really appreciate you sharing all this today.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Deborah. Appreciate it. See you guys at the workshop.
Yeah, take care.